Welcome to the Cyclical Doula podcast. I'm Emma, a certified SymptoPro instructor, a fertility awareness educator, and your guide to fertility coaching and reproductive health education from menarche to menopause and all the different types of motherhood in between. If you're seeking a natural, science-backed approach to managing your fertility, understanding your cycle, or simply connecting with your body in a new way, you're in the right place. Each episode is designed to empower you with the tools, knowledge, and confidence you need to thrive in your unique journey. Quick disclaimer, this podcast is for educational purposes only and is not medical advice or individualized charting support. For specific guidance, please consult with your healthcare provider or fertility awareness instructor. Now, let's dive into today's topic.
Welcome to the space where cycles breathe, where the real raw life of a mama leads. From motherhood's highs to charting the low, your body's story is the star of the show. Matriarch heart.
Hi, everyone. I am so excited today to have Rita with me, and we're going to talk a little bit about gut health and nutrition with women's health. So, Rita, would you mind introducing yourself and sharing a little bit about who you are?
No, I'd love to. Thank you for having me, Emma. So I'm Rita Johnson. I've been in the women's health space for over 10 years now. I started initially teaching women how to chart their cycles. And, really from my own secondary infertility journey, I started diving into functional medicine and the ways that functional medicine can help support our hormonal health and really I healed my own gut, through my own journey. And so seeing the ways that impacted my fertility and my cycles, led me to become trained as an NTP. So I have a nutritional therapy practitioner certification as well. And I just love nerding out on gut health and hormone health and all things related to women's health. It's such a fun space.
That's so good. Awesome. And tell us a little bit more about, if you don't mind, some stuff about who you are outside of your work.
Yes, love it. So I actually have 6 kids. My oldest is 16 and my youngest is 9 months. So it is like a crazy dance party at my house.
Yes.
We homeschool and my husband and I both work from home. So you can imagine we live a lot of life in these walls.
Yes.
We are avid travelers though. We travel with the kids probably 3 or 4 months out of the year. Some years it's 5 months. And we just love to be together as a family. So we do a lot of playing games, reading books, all the things. And so when I'm not nerding out over healing women's hormones and gut health, I'm just being with my people and talking about books and silly inside jokes.
And that's awesome. I love that. We just started homeschooling our 5-year-old for kindergarten. And so it's been really fun. But yeah, do you have any good, quick advice about homeschooling? Because there's actually a good amount of people that I know that are in this space too.
It's beautiful. I love that. So we totally, with my oldest, I was like, I'm just going to homeschool him because I met a couple homeschool families that I was like, I don't know what you do different, but I want my teenage boys to be like that kid that's stealing the baby from mom to pray in church kind of thing. And so I I was warmed up to homeschooling because of that. And then with my oldest, we lived about 25 minutes away from the school we would have sent him to. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, drop off, pick up. I'm in the car for almost 2 hours.
Your whole day goes away.
Exactly. What can't we do in kindergarten for 2 hours, right? Just the two of us. And so I just slowly became the frog in the boiling water. And the water is boiling. My son's a senior. I'm still in it. So here we are. But I would say the biggest advice is when we started homeschooling, I was like, what I really love, I hated, and he wasn't a workbook kid. He hated workbooks. What I loved was reading books with him. I just want to sit and cuddle and read books. Mm-hmm. And so for me, that just, and now it totally is how I homeschool is very if you're familiar with the different pedagogies, Charlotte Mason is totally my jam.
Nice.
But I just found that that's what I loved. And that's what he loved. And the learning and education that he had gained from us teaching him that way is so beautiful. And there were so many times that I was just so worried. This is probably actually my biggest piece of advice. And this is a really long way to answer your question. But the biggest piece of advice is just to breathe. Like if you
Oh
love
yeah.
learning and you instill that love of learning, it doesn't matter. We've changed curriculums, we've moved, we've done all the stuff. We did co-op,
Yeah.
we didn't do co-op, we did hybrid, we didn't do hybrid. And now that he's going to be graduating, he's just such a beautiful person, like who
I
he
love
is. And
that.
he's so
Yeah.
smart and intelligent and loves to learn. And so that's really what it's all about, right? We're
Oh,
not
for
done
sure.
learning.
For sure.
So
Right. You're building independent adults who know how to like think critically, right? Like that's really the goal at the end of the day.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, for sure. 100%. And my second is a sophomore, and I already see it in her. Like she's just the girl knows her stuff. Like my husband and I'll talk about something. I'm like, where is Anna? I need to ask her a question. She needs to tell her mother something that I didn't learn.
I love that. That's so fun.
It's
So cool.
amazing. Yes.
Awesome.
Enjoy the journey.
Thank you. Yeah. So it sounds like since you're all around each other a lot, there might be some rhythms or rituals that either as a family or you as an individual love. Is there something that you like swear by, maybe for yourself?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So, my faith is very important to me. So
Yeah.
like waking up in the morning and having my peaceful prayer time with my cup of coffee, like if I can do that, I find I'm not reacting to my whole day. Whereas if I
Hmm.
like wake up with the baby, which sometimes is my reality,
For sure.
um, it just feels so different and off kilter. But so that's my like for me, as a couple, my husband and I try to walk together every day, and we have a two
Nice.
mile route. So we try to do, and this is the blessing of big people and little
Yes.
people. Like today, the 9 month old wasn't having the stroller. And so we brought him back and gave him to the 15-year-old, and we're like, you're welcome. Here's the baby. We'll be back before your online class starts.
Yes.
But it just helps us to run the household, connect with each other. Your husband can't run away from you. It's amazing what you can talk about when you're walking.
Oh, for sure.
And then as a family, we try to do like game night at least once a week. And then of course we always go to church together on the weekend, and try to like do something that is fun together in our week
Yeah.
as well.
That's awesome. Those are great. Those are some good
Yeah.
ones. I love the idea of walking, like being able to do that. That sounds so
Amazing.
amazing.
And if you just have little people, throw them in the stroller. Just
Oh
make them
yeah,
too bad.
for
Mommy,
sure.
daddy are gonna, and we just like we really go. Like it's for like our mental health and our
Yeah,
marriage, but it is also for our physical health. Like
I
I'm
love
like,
that.
yeah, I'm like we're tennis shoes, workout clothes. Like we're gonna get a sweat, which is
Nice.
great.
That's so good. I love that. What's been filling your cup lately?
Oh, I love it. I love books. So definitely reading books,
Yeah.
and being with my girlfriends. Yeah, that just, there's something so life-giving.
Mm-hmm.
And also it just helps me to be centered, and grounded in what I'm doing. So definitely those things.
That's great. I love that. I have always had struggle like really sitting down and reading a book. And so I like always love when people do like can really do that well and then really enjoy it. It's so
Yeah,
good.
isn't that so funny how my sister is that way? She'll say like
Yeah.
I can read audiobooks like 10 a month, but I can't do a physical book. And I'm the opposite. I can do
Yeah.
like one audiobook a year, maybe. But
Yeah.
like a physical copy, I can read like 10 a month,
Oh,
easy.
totally. And it's mine specifically totally goes back to like my education. I had such a hard time and I still do. Like I can't sound words out very well. I like that
Yeah.
phonemic
Yeah.
awareness is not there. So it was
Yeah.
such a struggle to learn how to read. And so it became like a chore. But now I was reading like I'm reading to my kids. Like we read picture books all the time and we just started reading some like
Yeah.
small chapter books and I'm like, oh, okay, like I think I
So
could get
fun.
into this now that I like actually know how to read all these words.
Yes. Yes. That's amazing. I love
Yeah,
that. So fun.
awesome. Well, tell me a little bit more about your story and what led you into the work that you do now.
Yeah, so real obviously it was a long journey, but
Yeah.
short version with highlights. So I got trained as a certified fertility care practitioner. So I was teaching the Creighton model of
Yep.
charting. And probably 2, 3 we gave them progesterone and this happened. We did progesterone and this happened. And so I just stood up and was like, but why aren't we making enough progesterone? Like, why do
Yeah.
we need to give so many people progesterone? And they just said to me, we don't know. Like, we don't know. We just give it to them and it helps. And I just felt really unsettled about that. And I had more and more clients that I could tell also felt unsettled about that. Like, all they're
Mm-hmm.
giving me is progesterone. Isn't
Right.
that just a Band-Aid solution if
Right.
I'm not making enough progesterone? So then fast forward a few years, we had 4 kiddos, and we weren't getting pregnant. We had, like, like kind of a 2 year, 2 to 3 year cadence.
Yeah.
And it was like 2.5 years and there was nothing. And we were really frustrated. I felt like that I was holding that heavy. But
Mm.
then I had this moment where I was like, you know what? I don't feel good. It's like the vast majority of the day, I
Oh,
don't
yeah.
feel good. I feel nauseous all the time. I was really bloated. I had a little bit of inflammatory weight that I just couldn't get rid of.
Mm-hmm.
But it really was more of like the digestive symptoms. I just did not feel good. And so I really like took that and plunged into, like, I don't want to do the NAPRA route, which is what all my clients did. I
Yeah.
want to know why. I want to dive deeper. And so I went to a bunch of different practitioners, and it felt like a very disjointed health journey. Honestly,
Mm.
it was like, okay, this functional medicine dermatologist and this applied kinesiologist, and then this different person with this other specialty. And it was like
Yeah.
everybody gave me a little piece of my puzzle to help heal my body, but it wasn't connected. I was the one that had to connect it. And I was really
Mm-hmm.
struggling, like, to do that and be the person in my own body that was, like, taking charge. But it really was like by the grace of God, like, as I physically healed, then I had this beautiful like mindset shift where I just realized the ways that like my mindset was very toxic and I was keeping myself stuck in these really negative patterns. And then I had this beautiful like spiritual journey as well, where like the Lord really revealed this like trauma I needed to work through, and like had some serious spiritual healing. And 2 weeks later, we conceived baby number 5. It was just
Wow.
this like amazing,
Yes.
extremely beautiful year that I look back on and I'm like, that was a hard year, but there
Mm-hmm.
was so much fruit born from it.
Yeah.
And it was during my pregnancy with baby number 5 that I was like, I'm doing the NTP. I want to be a person that people can say, I worked with Rita and this happened. I don't want to be telling people, go to this person and then this person and then this person might
Mm-hmm.
help you and then try this person. I just wanted to be somebody that can walk people through their journey, whether they're doing conventional medicine or supplementing, or they're just at the place where they don't feel good and their labs look normal and they're like, well, everything looks good. The doctor sends them on their merry way, but they
Yeah.
feel bad, right? It's not acknowledging where this person's at. And that's very much like I didn't go the conventional route, but I knew in my heart that that's what would have happened. Like
Yeah.
everything would have looked great.
Yeah.
And I felt like terrible. So that truly was like, yeah, what led me down this whole journey.
I love that. I mean, there's so many things about that that just really stick out. But I think like you can see how much you were advocating for yourself and like
Yeah.
you were pushing through all of those roadblocks and that's hard. Like it's so hard
Yeah.
to be like it still doesn't feel good or like it's the some medical professionals like, well, like you're fine, like everything's fine, but it still doesn't like sit right. And that's, man, that's such a hard situation to be in, especially when you're like, well, there's not like, what else do I have to do? Like I have to do my own research now. And so that's great that you were able to walk through that and get all of those answers. And now that you're able to walk other people through that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. So I kind of feel like that was a huge turning point in like your work aspect of it. But were there any other turning points either in your life or your health that like shaped how you view health as a whole, like in the wellness perspective or your cycles that influenced all of this as well?
Yes. Oh my goodness. What a great question. Let me unpack that a second. I think there's a few things I definitely, prior to getting trained as a fertility care practitioner, my husband and I had a farm. It's funny, we live in the suburbs now in the Cincinnati area, but before we moved here, we lived in Michigan and we had 35 acres and we did
Okay.
raw milk, and it was from our own cows, and we had a herd share, and we had pasture raised pork, and we'd sell eggs, and I made cheese from our milk, and like it was just like this beautiful journey from when my second, so she's almost 15 now, when she was born, she would have these like huge spit ups, like huge projectile drench you through all the layers of your clothes spit ups. And I found out that when I ate dairy, that bothered her. And so I cut out dairy, it went away. And so then we just started making everything from scratch, everything at home. And so at that time we were in the suburbs. So my little suburban kitchen, I'm like cooking everything from scratch. My husband would come home from work and make my own bread. And, you know, it was like, well, I can't have dairy, but I can make everything and then make it dairy free. Like it's super easy.
Yeah, for sure.
Which is my season of life. And so then we started like, well, should I get the whole ingredient, a little better quality? Like we kind of launched on this, and we discovered Weston A. Price, and it was kind of like snowballed from there. And that's what led us to the farm. And so doing the NTP training, when I like fast forward, when I went through the nutrition program, I knew I didn't want just like a registered dietitian. I didn't want just like conventional approaches to the food pyramid, right? I wanted like this real, like food is as medicine, nourishing whole foods. How can we approach healing our body through food as medicine? Yes, sometimes we need supplements, sometimes we need these other things. But I already felt that way. And so to find a program that helped me to be able to reconcile that is really why I chose that program. So I do think that there is a deep foundation of like, I mean, it doesn't go to my childhood. You know, in my childhood, I ate standard American diet, typical child of the 80s and 90s. Like, you know, we just ate whatever was on sale and fun and packaged and pretty and, you know, Pop-Tarts and Gushers and crescent rolls out of the pack. And so it's funny. It's probably hard for my parents now.
Yes, absolutely. I feel like a lot of people are that way now, at least in my circles too, for sure. Absolutely. Well, that's good. I think eating like whole foods and getting in that, that's amazing that you were able to like be on a farm and like have that in that experience for a while. What a cool experience. I love that. So tell us more about what you do and like how people work with you and how you walk with women.
Yeah. So, like I said, I love to like work with people in that space of like, I feel like garbage, but they either don't want to take medicine or don't want to take medicine their whole life or want to know what else they can do to like really support their health. So I do that through, I have one-on-one packages. So we do like a 90-minute consult where we deep dive into like, I really like to think of it as like, I want to get granular with like, what are your symptoms that are really bothering you? And then letting that guide me on seeing what are the foundations of your health that are really showing dysfunction by those symptoms, right? And then we do like a 20,000 foot view of like, okay, here's where some of these things are coming from. Here's why this is happening, because you've had this and this for this long and these other things happened at the same time. And it's connecting the dots, right? Because a lot of times we're like, but why? Or we know, like, I have all these other symptoms. It's all started at the same time. What is my body trying to tell me? And so that's really what we're doing in that session, is like connecting that like story of this is where your body's trying to communicate this to you. And then we talk about tomorrow, right? A lot of times we like Google online, like you can take this supplement, you can do this, you can eat this different, you can do all these things. And it's so overwhelming. And we just want to know, but what is it for me that's going to be the biggest needle mover? And so we talk about like, what is that going to be for you? And let's put that action plan together for tomorrow. And then the follow-up sessions are tweaking that, adding onto that program, like, you know, giving new adjuncts or going over functional lab testing. A lot of times in people's protocols, I'll say like, go to your doctor, ask them to run these labs. I really think you'd do great if we ran this functional lab test and we could see more of what's going on with XYZ, really getting a deeper look, but always trying to, you know, do what we can by having your PCP order it up so we can, you know, have insurance cover it. Because everything with me is self-pay. But I do also have group classes, because a lot of times in that one-on-one session, we're like deep diving, like I'm looking at Emma, like what's going on with you, girl? Like I want to know like all these nitty gritty things. And so we'll talk about like, okay, if this, like in general, this type of foundation is the problem, we'll talk about that and how to support it. But the group class is like a zoom out for like, how do I support my body, right? What is healthy eating? And how do do I move forward in my day to day without causing all these other sources of inflammation to cause things to be, systemic and rage out of control?
Yeah.
Right. It's really that like zoom out. And so I find that both are helpful for different people at different places in their journey. So I continue to offer both. But yeah.
That's so cool. That's amazing. I love that because I think like you had mentioned earlier, there's so many things in the way that we approach health of is that just like here's a band-aid to cover up this symptom that's taking place, and whether that's medication or things like progesterone even, which is a more like in theory holistic approach,
Yeah.
it still doesn't get to that root cause. And I love that like you're really able to, it sounds like you're really able to like see a whole facet of who this person is, and different aspects that are influencing all of those things. Do you feel
Yeah.
like, obviously like it's very specific to a particular client of yours, but do you feel like there's continual things that you see that come up for women in general on a regular
Yeah.
basis? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I definitely do. And I think too, like, when we talk about hormones, just to touch on that real quick, like,
Yeah.
and what is off there that is causing, why aren't we making enough
Yeah.
progesterone? It is a lot of a deep dive is needed. We need to understand there's a reason your body doesn't feel safe. The most amazing thing our body can do is grow another human being, right? So
Right.
ovulation, having enough progesterone to nourish and warm up the body so that if conception happens, that new life is able to nestle into that uterine lining and then
Mm.
secretes the nutritious fluid, it's fed,
Yeah.
it's sustained. Right, all of those things, it's all saying you're safe. It's your body saying you're safe. And so if there's not enough progesterone, if you're having a short luteal phase, if you're having tail end brown bleeding, right? If you're having any of those symptoms, we need to know why isn't your body feeling
Right.
safe? And so some things that I see a lot, I think that in general, and honestly, this is probably the reason that I really like to work with women. Like I do work with men
Right.
when it's like, hey, can you see my husband? He's having these issues. I'm like, okay, fine. But I really do love to work with women because a lot of times for us, there is this like, physically we have these symptoms present and there are things that we need to focus on doing. Like, are you over exercising or not exercising? Are you eating enough protein? Are you calorically restricting? Are you, like doing these things that like are telling your body again, not safe. It's not safe.
Yeah.
But also then, and well, let me say one more thing there. The other few things I'm thinking of a lot for women, especially if they're coming to me with hormonal things,
Right.
is like what's going on with your blood sugar, right? So your
Right.
energy levels are really kind of telling us more about that. Your sleep is telling me all about that. But also things like what about the actual function of your digestion? Do you need support breaking your food down so you're absorbing it?
Mm.
If we're eating healthy fats, but we're not absorbing healthy fats, we're not going to have enough progesterone, which is dependent on your cholesterol from your diet, right? Things of this nature.
Yeah.
But also there's so much to like our mindset around our health or spiritual trauma that we have not healed from, that we're
Mm.
just carrying into our adulthood from our childhood, or lies that we tell ourselves. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, how many women do you know that they're the meanest person in their whole world?
For
Right,
sure.
so that means we're constantly walking around with this berating soundtrack, which is telling your body you are not safe.
Right.
Like, even if it's just you look terrible. Oh, you're so fat.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
whatever we tell ourselves, our body is listening.
Right. It's internalizing. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. So much of these things are like, automatically I'm like, okay, you're a woman living in this world today.
Yeah.
We're probably going to have to go there.
Right, right. And well, yeah, I feel like that's not something that a lot of people are willing to like dive deep into and get into that emotional aspect of it as well.
Yes, but it's so needed. It's
For
so
sure, because it's
needed.
all connected, for sure.
Yes. Yes. And that's the thing when we talk about like holistic medicine, functional medicine,
Right.
integrative medicine, like these words are coming from meaning of a whole person, right? And so
Right.
what are we talking about? We're talking about mind, body, and soul. Like we're not just a physical body, right?
Yeah.
Regardless of your belief, everyone's talking about that now.
Right.
Like we
Right.
have these different aspects of our health and we still try to silo them because it is a mystery. It is something our brain cannot totally wrap itself around. So if we silo it, it's a little easier, but we can't. We have to remember that they're very interconnected and it is
Mhm.
all going to impact everything else. There's some phenomenal books that have come out talking specifically to that. But until our health journey is really being addressed by looking at all these different pillars,
Yeah.
we're not going to really move forward in our health until we do that.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's amazing. I love that. I think I feel like I can think of multiple clients that I've worked with recently who have a multitude of different facets of like things that they're struggling with, but I think that idea of just like they're not feeling their best selves, and some of them like there's nothing on their chart that like would indicate otherwise. Obviously, like charting is just one facet of things that you can get into and get knowledge based off of. But I think that that's, and like they've done some labs and nothing comes up. And I think that that's such an interesting and important reminder of sometimes we also need to like go through the emotional work, the spiritual work, and then
Sure.
also like find those root causes of what else might be going on, either like gut wise or else. Yeah, that's
Yeah, for
amazing.
sure. Sometimes it's nuance. Sometimes it is like asking the right questions of like, well, what is your digestion like? Are you burping?
Yeah.
Are you, dealing with a lot of gas? Are you dealing with heartburn? Are you, right? Like those like nuanced symptoms.
Yeah.
But sometimes it is that we're forgetting this whole other piece of who you are.
Right. Right. Hey friend, quick pause before we keep going with today's episode. If you've been curious about learning to chart your cycle, but the whole thing feels just a little overwhelming, I made something just for you. It's my 14-day charting challenge. It's a completely free experience inside my private community. For 2 weeks, you'll have the opportunity to go through simple daily practices that will help you tune into your body's natural rhythms without pressure, without perfection, and without needing to know anything ahead of time. You'll get a chart to use, 3 short, confident building lessons, and a supportive space where you can actually start to understand what your body is showing you. It's all bite-sized and totally doable, even if life feels super full. So if you've been wanting to learn a fertility awareness-based method or just feel more connected to your cycle, come join us. You can sign up at the link in the show notes or going to my website, emma.com, and clicking on the free charting challenge. All right, let's get back to the episode. That's amazing. So good. So if somebody's listening to this and they're coming in and they're like, wow, Rita, like this is like, I need this. What, other than like just reaching out to you and working with you directly, what other steps can people take to kind of start this process of
Yeah.
healing?
Yeah, great question. So one of the reasons I absolutely love charting as a first step is because
Yeah.
charting is a way that we're able to take something that's happening with our body. So it is empirical. We're writing it down, right? Even if you're putting an
Yeah.
app, you
Yeah.
are recording it. You're listening to your body and letting it tell you the story, right? Which is when
Right.
we chart instructors
Right.
shine. We're like, okay,
Right.
look at these patterns. Look what this is saying. Like, we don't care so much about the one time, one day, this one
Right.
thing happened. We
Right.
want to know like the zoomed out version of what's your pattern, what's your normal, what happened that was abnormal for you, and is that a new abnormal, right?
Yeah.
All of those things. And that is such a huge step because what I find is that, whether we've been gaslit ourselves by going to the doctor and told you're fine, or, you hear the horrible stories about women that deal with endo pain for like 10 years before they ever get a diagnosis
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
they're just told like, this is just part of being a woman, right?
Right.
Like, this is just go take some Motrin and you'll be fine. Like,
Right.
it's insane, right? But because we have been gaslit for so long, we gaslight ourselves.
Right.
We're like, oh, you're not that sick, or it's fine, or and people will tell me these stories, these very like intimate stories that, and I know you have them too, Emma, where
Yeah.
you're just like, at when they finally get to the point of realizing that it's not a normal thing, like whether it's a
Hmm.
roommate or they get married, or like they have this new level of intimacy with someone and let someone else in and then see that whatever like physical symptom they're dealing with is so unusual that they're like, oh, I guess I need help.
Yeah.
Right? It's this like awakening. And so it's really, that is the biggest thing I would say, is learn to listen to your body.
Yeah.
Charting helps us to listen to our bodies. All of these other things are ways our body's communicating to us, and it won't talk to you nice forever. So until we
Mm.
start to learn to listen, it is going to continue to talk, and eventually it will yell, and then eventually it will shut down. Right? This is
Right.
just what
Yeah.
our body does. It is
Right.
trying to protect itself, is trying to give you some more longevity, even if you're not listening. And so we need to learn to listen. And so recognizing, like, you know what? I haven't pooped for a week. That's a problem.
Right. Right.
Like recognizing if you're not sleeping, that's a problem. It might be something where temporarily you take sleep medication or you take something to increase your bowel movement activity, but you need to figure out why. Why are
Right.
these things happening in this way? And what can we do to support your body? There's so many things we're doing every single day that is a million different choices, and it's overwhelming to stop and think about all of them. But if you just
For
find that
sure.
one thing, like, right, if it's like constipation, if you're pooping once a week, it's like, okay, could I just drink a little more water? Like, can I just like pick one thing and be
Hmm.
consistent and see if that makes a difference, right? If you're
Yeah.
not sleeping, could I just journal before bed? Let's see if that happens, helps anything at all,
Right. Yeah.
right? Just picking this one thing. So, but really, I think the precursor to that is always learning to listen. Are these things happening cyclically? Are they happening, sporadically? You can keep that, record with your chart. Really having some type of record that helps you listen.
I love that. That's yeah. I think that's such a huge part. I was ironically on somebody else's podcast recording last week, and I we were talking about purity culture and just like how that can evolve. But I think it relates to this, of the sense of like, it's so important about how we can take the information that we get and listen to ourselves and gain that body literacy in a whole realm of aspects
Yeah.
of ourselves, and be able to
Yeah.
have more information, and how that can then influence all of our other aspects of life. Like, right, like we know ourselves better, both physically, spiritually, emotionally, we can really gain so much other knowledge, and know, like, as you were saying earlier, like, know when our bodies just kind of feel off then, and when there's
Yeah.
that abnormality that's just happening randomly, or then is becoming more of
Mhm.
an issue, and things like that. So
Yeah,
I love
for
that.
sure.
That's so
For
good.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. What do you wish every woman or person understood about their body or their health? I know that's like a
Oh, beautiful.
only one
Yeah.
thing is kind of hard, but
You're good. You're good. Actually, it would be that that your body is amazing and it was designed to heal.
I love that.
Just like when we come from a place of hope, when we understand that our bodies were made so, so good, they're designed amazingly cool.
Yeah.
There's the human body, its adaptability. People, where was I? I was somewhere talking to a girlfriend, and she was like, "Oh, you don't stress out that your kids aren't sleeping on 100% cotton sheets or something?" I was like, "No, I don't." She was like, "Oh, wow. That's so interesting." I just don't live my life in that place. I
Yeah.
I don't like, sometimes we go grab Chick-fil-A, and sometimes we do things that people are like, "Oh my gosh, but Rita, you are you're functional medicine nutrition. Like, what are you
Right.
doing?" I'm like, "It's okay." Because
Yeah.
85-90% of the time, my people are eating really good, or they're doing these other things. The rest of the time, our body can take care of us, right?
Yes.
Obviously, like, we need to be intentional. If you're somebody that's super, super sensitive to stuff, I am with certain foods, I will avoid them like the plague, because when I eat them, I don't feel good for days and days and days. And
Right.
nothing is worth that to me.
Right.
But for you, that might not be the case. So you might be like, I'm going to have that donut after church on Sunday. And that's fine. Your
Yeah.
body can adapt. You do not have to like live in this vacuum to have optimal health. And if you're in a season where you do, then that means we have work to do.
Yeah.
And that means we need to get your body to that place. It doesn't mean you're stuck here and this will always be your reality. It just means we need to get you moving forward.
I love that. Yeah, I think I think when a lot of people think about like healing gut health or like working with nutrition, they think about the typical like diets of like you're only allowed to eat these certain things this amount of day and like that caloric like decrease like
Yeah.
deficit and like all of those things. And that
Yes.
I think one of although that's not something that I've like personally struggled with, I know a lot of people who have, and I remember hearing some other nutritionists to say like, well, like it's not really like that doing that, especially as a woman, is not really necessarily the best thing. Like eating for your body and fueling your body is much better. And I think
Yes.
that like that's having those conversations can be so helpful
Yeah.
to know how to like really fuel your body and give yourself those energy, and then also know that like it's not necessarily like a cheat day to eat that donut. It's just feeding your body in a different way too.
Yes. Totally.
Yeah,
Totally. 100%.
that's so good. So what legacy or impact do you hope that this work that you're doing is leaving behind?
Oh my goodness. So beautiful, Emma. I pray that the people that I work with are, when I look back on my own healing journey, like where I was before and what I was able to do in a day, energy output and all the things, the plates I was able to juggle, the peace I had or didn't have in my home.
Yeah.
Um, I just see the way that it has left me a completely different person.
Mm,
It's just freed me up to be able to live and do what the Lord's will is for my life. And that's what I pray, that I'm able to be a piece of other people's journeys, to be a catalyst to the same. So I sometimes think about that. Like if all the people I've ever worked with have more energy, more vigor, and more ability to hear the Lord telling them where to go and what to do,
yeah.
just from an encounter with me, that is all I'm asking, Lord. Like, just, I have open hands, send me
I
where
love
you want
that.
me to go, and please let me, through this broken vessel, impact these other lives, because
Yeah.
that's what it's all about, right? Like, talk about like force multiplier. I think about those things a lot too, with a big family and a lot going on.
Yeah.
Where's my force multipliers? And that's it. Like, all right, Holy Spirit, let's go.
I love that. That's so awesome. Yeah, that impact is amazing. That's so good.
Yeah.
Well, what else do you want to share about like things that people could either take away from learning about their health or their gut health working with you?
Yeah.
What else do you want to share?
Yeah, I think it really is, kind of going back to like that self-awareness, that, being mindful of those symptoms. Like, it's not only important for us, it's also important for these little ones we're shepherding, right?
For sure.
It's a big priority to me to teach my girls to chart their cycles, to have this body awareness of body literacy. And I know there's a lot of hype, and maybe you were talking about this last week on your podcast interview, but there's a lot of like hype and conversation about like, oh, is it too young to teach our
Yeah.
girls to chart their
Yeah.
cycles, right? All of this kind of stuff. But like, that's just silly. That is
Hmm.
absolutely silly. We are teaching them and giving them so much more, not to mention that's like a gatekeeping, right? But like,
Yeah.
we're talking about like empowering them with the ability
Absolutely.
to know and understand their bodies. And that is only going to help them as they go through their adulthood. And I think that a lot of times we have just been so, silenced or quieted, or no one knew, no one could help you tie those things together. And so we ignore and suppress. Or like, sometimes there's this like, well, just offer it up. Like,
Yeah.
it's just
Right.
a part of the journey. But the
Right.
reality is there's a very fine, I actually work with a lot of Catholic nuns. There's a fine line there. And sometimes I'll have to be like, sister, this is not something you should be offering up. We really need to
Right.
work through this, right? Like, yes, in the journey, yes, in the moment, but this doesn't have to be something you continue to to carry. You need to lay this down. Right. And that's what we need to be really mindful of. Are we carrying something we're supposed to lay down? It might be harder for you to live, like if gluten is bothering you, it might be harder for you than you can imagine right in this moment to live gluten-free. But when you start to feel better, which this is part of my journey, when you start to feel better, you're like, I don't care if I can't eat gluten ever again. I feel so good. I have so much energy. I never nap. I have no digestive problems. Praise the Lord. I'm not eating gluten. That's who I am now. And so I think it's really empowering to remember to listen to our bodies, to know that there is hope for healing. You just haven't found the thing yet. And so that's the big thing. I always want people to leave from, if I gave a talk or from working with me one-on-one, like I'm just still learning how to support my body. And then knowing that every step in the way is getting you closer to that.
That's amazing. I love that. Okay, I have one more question for you. You talked about teaching your daughters and how important that teaching charting to them is as well. What do you feel like, obviously, like this is I personally believe, but I'm sure you do too, based on the way that you word this, that like it's a whole lifelong, like even when they're infants, like you're still like laying these foundations. Do you have any suggestions as like from a parenting perspective of how to have these conversations or like get our young women to have this empowerment as well?
Yes, I totally do. Emma, I'm going to send you, I have a podcast episode just on this.
Okay,
it's only like 10
so
minutes
I'll
long,
link it in the show notes.
Exactly. Yeah. I exactly dive into that, like my pedagogy. And, like I have a 16-year-old son and then 4 girls.
Right.
So my girls are like varying stages and ages. And it's just what I've found that's worked really well. And I see this in my community. And it really riles my feathers when I see it not addressed, because I think it really does empower our young girls, and they're different when you can instill that confidence in that their body was made good. Like menstruation is not bad. It's not gross. It's not dirty. Like it is good. And so, I will send that to you.
Perfect. We'll link it in the show notes because that sounds amazing. And that's so good. I think that that's something that like in the work that I'm doing, having that, teaching women how to chart for themselves and then also be able to like pass this on to the next generation is a huge piece of what I'm hoping to do. And so, that's amazing. I love that.
Thank you.
Well, good. Is there anything else? It's been such a joy talking with you, but is there anything else you want to wrap up with today?
Yes, you too. So I do have a free ebook if anybody wants it. I'll send that link to you too. It's all about how to balance your hormones naturally. And then as Emma mentioned, I have my podcast, Health and Hormones too, where I just do a lot of short episodes talking about a specific topic. And I'll just deep dive on that and my thoughts on it. So if anyone wants that, we'll link that with that episode. So
okay, perfect. And is the best way for people to find you? Is there a specific best way for people to reach out?
I have. I'm also on YouTube. Divine Mercy Nutritional Care is my handle on social media and on YouTube. And you can always email me too. It's help@healthandhormones.org.
Awesome. That's great. Well, I've loved talking with you, Rita, and thank you so much for being on today.
Thank you, Emma. So fun.
Thanks for spending this time with me on the Cyclical Doula podcast. If today's episode helped you feel more connected to your cycle or empowered on your fertility journey, I'd love for you to share it with a friend or leave a review. It really helps this podcast reach more people like you. And if you're ready to dive deeper, join my free Red Circle community. It's where we go beyond the podcast with exclusive resources, live Q&A sessions, and support for charting, planning, and thriving in your cyclical life. Visit the show notes to join the Red Circle today. I can't wait to see you there. Until next time, keep listening to your body. It's telling you so much more than you realize.
Welcome to the space where cycles breathe, where the real raw life of their mama leads, from motherhood's highs to charting the low. Your body's story is the star of the show. Matriarch hearts, cycles that speak, charting the truth in every peak. This is the cyclical doula sound, where body wisdom is always found. Matriarch heart. cyclical dollar sound, where body wisdom is always found. Matriarch heart, centriarch cycles that speak, charting the truth in every. This is the cyclical dollar sound, where body wisdom is always found. Matriarch hearts, cycles that speak, charting the truth in every peak. This is the cyclical dollar sound, where body wisdom is always found.